This is the 80,000 hours approach to choosing a career. 80,000 hours is an effective altruism community. It refers to the 80,000 hours as the amount of hours that an average person will work in their lifetime. So the idea being that if you work 8 hours a day for so that would be 40 hours a week, and times 50 weeks, you're working 2,000 hours a year, and then a lifetime of work. So, say from age 25 to 65 would be 40 years of work, and so 40 times 2,000 is 80,000. That is the number of hours that a typical person might work in their life. And the idea behind the organization is that they are suggesting that you would choose to spend those 80,000 hours in as effective a way as possible. In other words, spend those hours in such a way that you can make the biggest impact as possible. And they have all sorts of research kind of explaining how to do that and different ideas about what like really effective careers might be. The way that they define like effectiveness is that basically it has a large impact on society or humankind or whatever, and the way that they would, I guess, measure that is to extrapolate. First of all, they would look at, what types of issues or what types of things are you working on that might have like a larger than normal impact. So they're, it's an altruism community, so they focus a lot on, how to do good in the world, which, is a pretty worthy goal, I think. But if you take, for example, me, I'm a teacher, right? So every year I teach maybe 200-ish students. And over, my 40-year career, I would teach, 200 times 40 is 8,000 students. So maybe I will touch the lives of some 8,000 students or something like that. Whereas someone who is working on like a bigger problem and who might have a bigger impact, say like the president of the United States would, the decisions that he or she makes impacts like millions of people, whereas I'm like in the thousands. So they would say that, a job like president of the United States has a much larger impact than like a teacher, right? And so that's how they're trying to measure these things. Okay, so that's their altruism point of view, which is fine, and maybe you believe that, and maybe you don't. It doesn't matter that much to the because it's really what we're looking at is their approach to choosing a career, not the exact career. And they have lots of suggestions over like careers that you might choose if you're looking to do a lot of good for humanity. But it's the way that they choose that I want to kind of focus on here. And so, how are they choosing careers? Well, there is a classic problem in computer science or mathematics, which is called explore versus exploit. And so, picture that you are in a casino, and you're probably familiar with casino. I mean, you probably haven't been in that many casinos, but you probably are familiar with the idea of the slot machine, right? The slot machine, you pull the handle, and then like the three pictures will line up, and if they line up, you win the prize, and if three pictures are different, then you lose, kind of thing. And in casinos, they have like hundreds of these machines. And so people will go around and say, okay, which machine is going to be the luckiest, or which one is going to pay out for me? And so the idea is that how many machines do you try before you say, okay, I know which one like is good, and I'm just going to spend the rest of my time on that one machine, right? So, okay, so say you go to each machine and you pull it 20 times each one, right? So you go to the first one, pull it 20 times, you get one win. You go to the next one, pull it 20 times, and you may get 2 wins. You go to the next one, you pull it 20 times, and you get 1 win. And you go to we're on the fourth one now, pull it 20 times, and you get like 5 wins. Is that the point at which you're going to stop and say, this is the machine, this is the lucky one, I'm going to stay here? Or should you keep on exploring? It depends how much time you have, right? If you are there for like, an entire week, you might want to keep exploring. But if you're only there for 10 minutes, that might be the one to stick at, right? So how do you know like when to stop? So the problem is if you stop too early, right? And you stop, say, after 4 machines, and you say, I'm going to choose this one. You might have chosen one that is not the best. And, if you had just kept on exploring a little bit more, kept on trying new ones, maybe the 6th or 7th one would have been like twice as good, right? So by stopping too early, you might have settled on one that is not the best. But if you keep on going too long, right, you'll for sure will find the best one for you, but you might not find that best one until like the end of your time. And so if you don't find it till the end of your time, you won't be able to exploit it, or you won't be able to, maximize your benefit of being on that really good machine. So then, yeah, that is kind of, that is kind of the puzzle that they try to kind of solve. And so if we transfer our thinking to thinking about your career, okay, so you have 40-year career, what are you going to do? So you're going to try out like something different every couple years, and eventually you have to kind of settle on one so that you can maximize the impact that you're having on a pretty good career. If you kept on, like over 40 years, and if you're changing every 2 years, you potentially could try out 20 completely different careers, but then you would only have 2 years in like that super awesome career, like the best one for you. So that's kind of the puzzle. So what they're suggesting is that, when you first like graduate from university or whatever, you should try out a few things. If the first thing that you try happens to be amazing and exactly the right thing for you, you could still try something else and come back to that one, or you could just stick with that one. But if that first one that you try is just kind of, it's not bad, I could do it, but maybe there's something better, then they would suggest, okay, why don't you try something else and do that for a few years, right? Maybe try 3 or 4 different things and see which one happens to be best. Because when you try things out, you can always go back to the ones that were better. Like say you tried 4 different things, but after the 4 different things, you realize that, oh, that very first one that I did right after graduating, that was the best for me. And so you can go back to that. It's okay. And in a lot of cases, it'll be even more valuable to go back to that with these experiences that you've gained in like other kind of unrelated fields, because other people in that field that you're going to may not have that breadth of experience that you have by like having tried other things. And so, their whole thing is that nobody really knows what they want to do when they're, well, certainly when they're your age, 15, 16, and they're thinking even when you are finish your university degree at 22, 23, you still don't really know what you want to do because you haven't done it yet. You have to try it first before you know if that's something that you want to do or not. I have found that to be largely true. I told you my kind of life career trajectory, and it pretty much followed that, right? I tried a few different things before I settled down on teaching. I didn't know when I was 22 what I really wanted to do. I just applied for every single job there was. They would probably have said you should be a bit more directed in like what you're trying to apply for, but the principle kind of holds that I tried several different things before I kind of settled. I didn't know. You don't know. Some of you might know, which is great, right? But I think for most of you, you won't know at this point. And that's totally okay. Like, I wouldn't expect you to know. When I was 15, 100% I had no idea what I wanted to do. We're in this CLE class, career life exploration. Don't expect that you will 100% know which career that you plan to pursue, after taking this course. That's not what it's about. I'm here to give you ideas, to show you the possibilities, to give you a little bit of guidance on how to go about approaching this kind of puzzle. But you're not going to solve it this year or next year. I know that, what university and what major, what field you're going to study in university, to you, that seems like a really big thing. But in the end, with some exceptions, but generally it's not, right? Very frequently people do not end up working their entire life in what they studied right out of high school. In fact, I think it's, probably not that common for people to do that. So just wanted to, share that way of thinking with you. If the effective altruism part of 80,000 hours, in other words, the idea of having the maximum amount of impact as you can with your career, if that is interesting to you, I'd invite you to explore their web pages, which I will link in the description. They are really quite excellent. Some of the best kind of job career selection resources that are out there, I think, in my opinion. So there it is. That's it for this lesson. We'll see you in the next one.